Chapter 18. The Third 50,000. Beating records is a contagious disease. The moment you have broken one, the urge comes upon you to show how much better than that you can do, if only to prove that breaking the first was no accident. We had come to look upon our traveling bag sale as our business indicator. 2 years in succession, we had sold 50,000 bags a year besides the Gladstones and ladies' cases, which went in no small volume. Could we do it another year? Competitors were betting we could not. Towards the last of the previous season, they had introduced in luggage stores all over the country a bag as like ours in appearance as 2 peas in a pod, which they offered as a special at $1 less than our price. Of course, it hurt our sale. It would have been disastrous for us if it had appeared early in the season, for the stores advertised it extensively, but our sale was practically finished before theirs started. It gave us notice, however, of what we might expect the following summer. True, the other bag was made of shoddy material and would not stand up under hard usage, but who was to know that by merely looking at it? On the outside, it looked as good as ours, and it was priced at $1 less. What was the answer? The answer came from our tests of the previous year. Looking over the records, we found that the tests we had mailed in late January and February had done just about as well on traveling bag as the same circulars mailed in June, which was the best part of time regular traveling bag season. So, we stole a march on our competitors. While they were making preparations for all the things they were going to do to us in time summer, we got out our big mailings on traveling bags in February and sold more than half of our 50,000 quota. When the regular season came, we mailed a few tests, of course, just to see if we could sell some more then, and found that our competitors' tactics had done just what we expected, made orders so hard to get that it did not pay us to make a mailing. So we let traveling bags rest all through the season. Then, when their campaigns were all over, we started again, and before the end of the year had disposed of the last of our 50,000 bags. Here's one of those letters. Dear Sir, only once in 50 years comes a luggage improvement like this. You know how often you have had to struggle with the locks and snap on your traveling bag. You know how they catch at times, how you have to use both hands and knees to get them closed. Here is a new traveling bag frame that does away with all the bother. Lock and catches are in one piece, and they are automatic. Snap the lock, and you snap them all. A more convenient, a better-looking frame has never, we believe, been devised. So simple that any child can work it, so easily operated that it snaps open or shut at the mere pressure of your thumb and forefinger, it is still so safe it defies the cleverest thief. Then in addition, this new 1926 model Statler bag famous? The genuine cowhide leather so tough it will last forever. The double handles, the solid brass hardware, the 10 handy moisture-proof pockets that almost pack themselves. Naturally, the new bags cost a good deal more to make than the old ones, so the price must go up. But on the first bags to come from the factory, we are going to make the same low price as on the old model Statler bag, only $14.75 delivered to you. This price holds good only on the first bags. It is subject to withdrawal at any moment. We make it in order to introduce these new model bags quickly, knowing that with them to be seen is to sell. The free trial card has been numbered and recorded. If mailed at once, it will bring you, without 1 cent of cost or obligation, a 1926 model Statler bag for a week. To be seen, to be examined, to be tried out and used for a week at our risk and expense. But you will have to mail it right away. Yours if you are prompt. But don't imagine we were idle while the regular traveling bag season was on. Starting in late January, when we mailed our first test on the bag, we sent nearly 18 million circulars of one kind and another during that year, and brought in gross orders in the neighborhood of $6 million. That was our banner year. After the traveling bags, we sold any weather top coats, scads of them. There seemed no end to the number of top coats the market would absorb. We sold them profitably each spring. We sold them twice as profitably each fall. And then the next year would roll around and we would do the same thing over again. Here is the letter and circular we use this time. It is the last we shall give on top coats because while we changed their tenor and form, the idea behind the later ones remained much the same. Dear customer, I am going to send you within the next few days one of our famous any weather top coats. This any weather top coat is probably not like any top coat you have ever had before because 1. The cloth in the any weather top coat is not only all wool, it is full weight wool, 16 ounces to the yard. 2. The any weather top coat is designed like the latest imported English top coats, therefore stylish right up to the minute. 3. The any weather top coat is carefully tailored in every detail. The lining of genuine luster serge makes the coat slip on and off easily. 4. But here's the biggest difference. The any weather top coat is shower-proofed, so it will withstand 30 minutes of steady rain. I am going to send this coat to you with no obligation on your part, for you to examine and actually see the difference between it and the top coat you now wear. There's just one thing. I can't send the coat until you tell me 3 simple measurements. Just your height, weight, and collar size. You can do that in a jiffy on the enclosed postcard. When I send the any weather top coat, there's absolutely no obligation on your part to pay for it. You can return the coat for any reason or for no reason at all. But here's the most important part. If you find the any weather top coat is everything I say about it, and you're to be the sole judge, how much would you expect to pay for it? $22.50? No, sir, that's what you'd expect to pay for cheap sale top coats. $25 to $45, the price that most good top coats sell for nowadays? That's more like it. Well, if you decide to keep the any weather top coat, you need send me only $14.85. That's the entire cost to you. How can we do it? First, we hit the wool market just right when wool was down a few months ago, and placed our order for 60,000 yards of this fine all-wool cloth. This was probably the largest order ever placed for one kind of top coat cloth, and a tremendous saving we made. Second, we had the factory make up more than 20,000 coats from this cloth all at once. We could thus take advantage of great savings in production. Then, of course, when you deal direct with us by mail, you pay none of the costs of selling through jobbers and traveling salesmen, who call on dealers, to say nothing about the heavy costs of ordinary retailing. Just fill out the enclosed card and shoot it back. The any weather top coat will come by parcel post, prepaid of course, with no obligation for you to keep it. You can't lose a penny. I'm the one who is asking to send the coat. Won't you let me? Yours for any weather. Then came shirts. The previous fall, we had tested the giant letter on shirts and got such good response that we decided to make a big mailing at the first opportunity. And the spring is the best time to shirts, so we made our mailing. And a goodly part of our quota of 340,000 shirts was hung up then and there. Here's the letter that did it. Before the price goes up, dear sir. A short time ago, one of the old reliable mills that makes the finer qualities of woven madras for shirts began sending out SOS calls. They had kept their plant going steadily for months, thinking that the usual demand would easily take care of their excess output. But with the weather so generally unseasonable, the usual demand didn't materialize. And there they were, heavily overstocked and needing money. If we would take all their surplus stock of the finer grades of woven madras, amounting to 250,000 yards, they offered to let us have them at away below any price we had ever paid for shirtings in all our years in business, at far less than they could make the materials and sell them today. We took them, the whole 250,000 yards, at a tremendous saving in cost. There were 5 different patterns, as fine-looking as any we've seen. By concentrating all our efforts on these 5 desirable patterns and selling 5 shirts to a box, just as they are originally packed in the factory, we can offer these long-wear madras shirts delivered right to your door at only $7.95 for the 5, post-paid. A bargain you may never get again. Of the 250,000 yards of fine woven madras we got at this low price, nearly 2/3 are gone. The rest won't last long. If you will drop the enclosed card in the mail at once, while our range of sizes is still complete, we will send you a box of these fine shirts at our own risk and expense for a week's inspection. Free! Delay. And we don't believe you will be able to find their equal at a third higher price. Send no money. Pay nothing on delivery. Just tell us how tall you are, how much you weigh, and what size shirt you usually wear. Then sit back and watch results. But you will have to mail the card right away, for at the rate orders are now coming in, these fine madras shirts will all be gone in another couple of weeks. What was it sold these? The bargain appeal, of course, But a bargain offer is of no use unless you make it convincing. We had a real reason for our bargain, so it succeeded. And we backed up the bargain with 7 points, which showed the buyer that despite the low price, he was getting every feature of a fine shirt. That is even more essential, than the bargain, for though low prices allure, it never gets far unless backed by reasonable quality. In the summer, we followed this with the sale of broadcloth shirts, and they went even better than the Madras. With them, you will notice that our sales talk was aimed more at comfort and fine appearance and quality than at any bargain appeal. Of course, we always had in the back of our minds the fact that no man is going to the trouble of sending away for things he can just as well get around the corner, unless he feels that he can save money by so doing. So we never failed to bring in the money saving, but many times our most successful pieces were those on which we sold the quality or comfort or usefulness of the product, and then brought in the money saving as an afterthought, like this one. Dear customer, in every man's wardrobe is some particular article, a tie, a shirt, or a suit, that he likes best to wear because he looks his best and feels his best in it. That's the way you'll feel about these long-wear broadcloth shirts once you've worn one of them. In the past couple of years, fine quality white broadcloth shirts have taken the place of silk as the finest dress-up attire for men. The broadcloth in the new long-wear shirt is imported from England, where the finest broadcloth is now made. It is snowy white in color with a luster that rivals that of silk, and it has a subdued softness of texture that one loves to feel. There is no way of duplicating the rare lustrousness, the durability of this genuine imported English broadcloth. No imitation can tailor so superbly, can retain its snowy whiteness and silky finish after repeated launderings, as can the English cloth. An offer we can never make again. Last spring, when sterling exchange was low, we contracted for enough fine-quality English broadcloth for 10,000 shirts. It was necessary to place that large an order to secure this fine cloth at the lowest possible figure. Now sterling exchange has gone up to par, and the indications are that it will stay there, or above. If we had waited until now to order, these shirts would probably cost us, in wholesale quantities, little less than the price we can now offer them to you in lots of 4, just as they are originally packed in the factory. Only $7.95 for 4 shirts postpaid. But 10,000 shirts don't go far among our more than 300,000 customers. Already half of them are gone. The remainder won't last long. If you will drop the enclosed card in the mail at once, we will send you a box of 4 of these fine shirts at our own risk and expense for a week's inspection. Free. Send no money. Pay nothing on delivery. Just tell us how tall you are, how much you weigh, and what size shirt you usually wear. Then sit back and watch results. But you will have to mail the card right away, for at the rate orders are now coming in, those 5,000 will be gone in another couple of weeks. Hastily yours. Notice one thing in all these circulars. There is never any choice in quantity or price or any other essential feature. Occasionally we gave a choice of color, or in the case of shirts, of collar attached or neckband style. But when we did so, we made no mention of this in the letter. We put it inconspicuously on the order card. The reason for this we have explained before. There is only one way you can sell a man by mail. That is to get him to act at once. 9 times out of 10, the deferred order is a lost order. You get a few of them, of course, but they are not worth counting on, so we never intentionally put anything into a letter that would cause a man to hesitate. We centered our talk on one article, of one quality and design, one price. Where there was a group of articles, as with shirts and socks, we offered a definite number at a group price. Never a choice of, would you rather have this, or do you think this would be preferable? We centered our whole appeal upon the one unit, and stood or fell by that. In the old days, the company had enclosed with many of their offers a circular offering a dozen other allied products. We were aimed to prove by conclusive tests that while this method brought a great number of orders, the actual volume of sales was not as big as what we specialized on a single product. So for a while, we confined our efforts to one product at a time. Then came the time when we took on some women's and household products, and it occurred to us that as long as we were writing the head of the household about something for himself, it might be a good idea to enclose something he could hand to his wife. but had to be done in such a way as not to take one iota of his interest away from the product we were trying to sell him. So again adopted an expedient of the book business and put a separate sealed envelope in with our regular circular. On the outside was a catchphrase indicating that it was for the wife only. Inside was a separate letter, and circular describing blankets or linens or towel lingerie. That is the one way I have ever seen in which you can sell two separate and unrelated products in a single envelope without interfering with the pulling power of your main offer. It added not to the number of orders received, but to the volume of sales. It worked so well that it has been in use ever since. That was just one of the things we discovered that year. In summer, we sold some 30,000 pairs of men's silk socks. Here is one of the letters that did this. Do you know how to distinguish pure silk socks from loaded or fiber silk? There are 3 ways. 1. By fire test. Pull our loose end of silk and touch a match to it. If loaded or fiber, it will burn with a flash and leave a white or grayish ash. If pure silk, it will curl up and leave a round black ash. 2. By water test. Fiber silk, when wet, will easily pull apart. Pure silk, wet, is stronger than ever. 3. By feeling test. Fiber and loaded silk both have a hard, slick feeling, a flashy, glossy appearance. Pure silk is soft and yielding to the touch, with a subdued luster all its own. By fire test, by water test, by feeling test, and by the final test of long, hard wear. The long wear silk socks have established themselves among men who know and regard value first as the standard of quality. And the quality is more than label deep. It permeates every thread of every sock. Just listen. I made of pure thread Japan silk, and pure thread silk is stronger, strand for strand, than steel wire. B. The silken longwear hose is 11 strand, not 8 or 9 strand, as in many silk socks that are priced merely to sell. C. Investigations show that 90% of all socks wear out at the toes first. That comes from wearing socks too small. Longwear silk socks are made slightly oversized, not enough to notice. Just enough to keep that energetic big toe from stretching and pushing its way through. D. The sole is double thickness for extra comfort, and heel, toe, and top are reinforced with fine mercerized lisle for extra wear. For the man who seeks foot ease, long-wear socks give that rare combination of ease, style, and long life, all at reasonable price. But that isn't all. By selling these fine silk hose in wholesale lots of a dozen, the same amount that hundreds of dealers buy at one time, with none of the cost of jobbers or traveling salesmen or high-store rentals, we are able to give them to you at the low direct buy mail price of $7.95 for the dozen, only 60 cents a pair, and if you mail the enclosed card at once while the season is at its height, we will send the socks to you for a week's examination at our risk and expense. But to get longwear silk hose on approval, your card must be mailed now. Yours till then. Then there were the broadcloth shirts mentioned above, broadcloth underwear and bathrobes, and several other items. Bathrobes proved an amusing experience. We had tested them earlier in the season, and the test had scored up well enough to justify buying some 10,000 robes with slippers to match. But when we started to make the mailing, results fell badly. Probably the motive was that the time to sell bathrobe when the weather is cooler. However this may be, we did not want to carry them over fall if we could help it. So we tried the device of offering the slippers as a free premium, if customers would send for and try the bathrobe. You would be surprised how beautifully it worked. Those 10,000 robes melted away like snow before the summer sun. In the fall, we ran all our usual products and a few extra ones too. Fancy woolen socks were one of these latter. They went over very well, and here's the letter that sold them. I am rushing out to you the first news about one of those specials that we let our regular customers in on once in a while. This one is for the man who is used to paying $1 a pair for his hosiery. Only this time, you need pay but 74 cents. For the closely knit hosiery that you need for fall and winter. Enough wool in it to make it comfortable, just enough lisle to keep it from shrinking. The design is woven in lustrous rayon to give that dressiness of appearance that is so essential. As good-looking, as long-wearing, as comfortable hose as a man would want to put on his feet. You'll never know what luxurious comfort a foot can enjoy on a bitter winter day until your feet have snuggled into a pair of long-wear socks for fall and winter. Last year, they sold in lots of places for $1 a pair. We can offer them to you in this year's special wholesale lots of 8 pairs to a box at the amazing price of 74 cents a pair, only $5.95 for the 8. Don't think this is going to be a regular thing. It is a special offering. We have only a limited quantity to dispose of at this astonishingly low price. You can imagine how long they will last. Don't decide now. You can do that later. Just drop the enclosed card in the mail and your 8 pairs will come to you for a week's inspection free. Plenty of time then to see whether you like them so well that $5.95 couldn't induce you to part with them. Cordially yours. Top coats, of course, did well, but when it came to bed blankets, we again ran into one of those unaccountable cases where conditions changed so between the test and the time of mailing that we found ourselves with 20,000 pairs of woolen blankets on our hands, and the letter we had counted on to move them was proving a dud. You would never guess how we got rid of them. I happened to be in the president's office one day when the stock clerk came in to complain that the blankets were not well wrapped, and the ends of many of them were getting dusty. It brought to mind at once the good old damaged set letter, so we sent out a damaged blanket offer. Would you believe it? We sold not only those 90,000, but an extra 10,000 to boot. That brought us into the overcoat season. Quite the biggest one we had ever had, and when you read the follow-up letter, you can easily see why. Dear Doctor, ever since I started this business, years and years ago, I've been dreaming of the time when I could offer a really good quality, fine-looking, all-wool overcoat for less than $20. Not, mind you, a cheap coat, but a coat that you or I could wear. A coat we would be proud to be seen in anywhere. A snug, warm, all-wool overcoat, such as you'd never expect to meet with for less than $40 or $45. Sounds impossible, I know, but I believe I've done it. And to prove it, I'm going to send one to you for a week's free examination and trial. Of course, I'll need to know your height and weight in order to be able to fit you accurately, but you can easily give me these on the enclosed card. Naturally, I can't keep this up long, for it was only an extraordinary combination of circumstances that made this marvelously low price possible. And even then we got enough really fine quality cloth for only a few thousand coats. While they last, you can see and try out one of them without cost or obligation, merely by using the card. If you've ever bought its equal for double the price, just send ours back, that's all. Otherwise, mail us the special sale price of $19.85. No need to tell you that bargains like these won't last long. And first come, is best served. May I hope you will mail your card today? Now? Sincerely yours. That, with the Christmas sale, ended our biggest year. But before closing this chapter, I want to give one more example of the many products we tried out successfully, but abandoned because of the difficulty of giving a proper fit. This one was men's suits. It is hard to imagine anyone living within a few blocks of good department stores sending away out to a small town for a suit of clothes. Yet that is exactly what happened. It was not the rural district that our orders came from. It was from the towns and cities, and we got as many orders in proportion to the number of names on our list from big cities like New York and Chicago as from so-called hick towns. Knowing that fact, perhaps the result should have been foreseen. We got the orders without difficulty, but we promptly got back about 40% of the suits almost as fast as we sent them out. And the reason? Fit. It is comparatively easy to fit a man in a topcoat or overcoat, but when it comes to a suit, he is far more particular. There are so many different places where it has to fit him, and if it fails in any of these, it is a lost sale. So we quickly gave up the sale of suits. But the attached letter and circular may be interesting, merely as examples of successful sales literature. Dear customer, will you try this experiment? Tear off the sample of longwear worsted from the inside of the folder herewith. Pull out a few ravelings of wool from one end. Then cut a strip from the inside seam at the bottom of your trousers and pull a few strands from it. Notice the long, strong fibers in the longwear sample. Virgin wool, just as it comes from the sheep's back. Compare them with the ones from your own trousers. See how many little, short, broken-looking ones there are among yours. Wool, yes, but wool adulterated with shoddy taken from worn-out garments, ground up and used over again. A long wear label in your suit means that it is every thread of pure virgin wool, that it will not shrink or pucker or lose its shape, that the collar has been hand-tailored to make it fit right around the neck, that the sleeves have been hand-felled to make them comfortable under the armpits, that in style and fit, in wearing quality, it will compare with any suit you have ever had at any price. Try to tear that bit of sample cloth. Ever see a piece as strong? All the longest fibers of the virgin wool are put aside, for spinning into worsteds, for only the long, strong fibers can be twisted into those compact, smooth strands. The result is a weave so firm, so crisp of finish, that it will not merely resist wear and tear, but will hold its shape and keep that new-looking luster long after any other suit would have been thrown away. But that isn't all. Have you ever stepped into a suit in a retail store and been able to walk right out with it without alteration of any kind? No, and neither have many other men. That's because the stores can carry suits in only 12 to 15 different sizes. Where they have a few hundred or a few thousand customers, however, we have 318,000. Where they can carry 12 to 15 sizes, we have long-wear suits in 90 different sizes and 10 different lengths. That is the reason long-wear suits fit you as though molded to your form by your own tailor. That is the reason that the few simple measurements given on the enclosed card are enough to ensure you a perfect fit. The price, $26.85. And if you can match one of these suits anywhere at half as much again, well, just send ours back, that's all. The wear you have had out of it will not have cost you a cent. You see, selling in such huge quantities as we do, we get not merely the lowest manufacturing costs without having to pay commissions and profits to any middlemen, but we go beyond that. We get the benefit of bedrock prices on the cloth itself. In short, we eliminate any needless middleman, selling direct to you, saving you a good share of the price. And if we don't give you as perfect fitting, as handsome-looking clothes as you could get from your own tailor, we don't want you to pay a cent. To prove it, all you have to do is to fill in the few simple measurements on the enclosed card, stamp, and mail. After 7 days, you may return the suit, if you want to, and it won't have cost you a cent. Try it out. Never mind what we say about the value and fit of long-wear suits. Find out. It's easy. Just fill out the form and mail it. No money, no obligation. But mail it right away, if you can. For every fall, just about October 1st, we offer some such opportunity as this to some of our old customers until a certain percentage of our output has been booked up. Naturally, such opportunities are snapped up quickly, so it is important that you mail the card at once. Nothing to sign. Don't send any money. Just fill in the few simple measurements on the card and mail. Your name's already on it, at your service. If ever there was a business which required as the price of success eternal alertness and vigilance, selling by mail is it. The thing about it you can be sure of is that you never know what can do until you try. So we tried anything once, and some of things we learned were surprising. On the very day, for instance, that we read in a bulletin from a convention the speech of an expert on advertising and selling, which he stated that no one but a fool would try a certain form mailing. Our test showed that this particular form added 35% to the pulling power of our circulars. Reminds one of the man who prayed, "Oh God, give me young men with brains enough to make a fool of themselves." We determined early in the game that we would be guilty of every in the Decalogue, rather than the one unpardonable sin of know-it-all. So nothing was too bizarre for us to try. Why, we even tried addressing every man on a several hundred U.S. and customer list by his first name, starting our letter Dear Jack or Dear Dick, and got a remarkable number of orders, but also angered so many customers that we were afraid the losses just would counterbalance the gains. So we bracketed that with a special delivery mailing under the heading Experience and did not try again. But some of the experiments did not turn out so badly. One time, purchasing agent picked up a big bargain in mufflers. When we decided to sell them, we found why they were such a bargain. That particular type of muffler just was not selling that season. So the PA started to look around for a place to job them. Meantime, just an experiment, And because we did not know any better, we put it in with every overcoat we shipped, offering the muffler at a special low price. Instead of jobbing those on hand, we had to look end for more mufflers. We tried different styles and sizes of envelopes and found on one mailing that a picture of the town, which looked more like a picture postcard than anything else and had no relation to the product we were offering, added some 10% to the orders. Why? Because it attracted attention and made it easier for the reader to believe that a business located in a little town like that ought to be able to serve him more economically than stores paying high rents in big cities. We tried pictures on the letterhead and found that the old mail order letterheads, of which so much fun is made, showing the picture of the founder of the business, have a sound psychological reason back of them, and frequently increase orders anywhere from 5 to 10%. We tried everything: metered mail against stamped, pre-canceled stamps against plain, pen signatures against facsimile, fill-in against running heads, Collier processed letters against stencil typewriter fill-ins, black ink against purple and blue and red, printing through ribbon against type. And the trend of all the tests seemed to be that anything which tended to make your letter seem more personal added appreciably to the number of your orders. In other words, processed letters have become so perfect that people do not pretend to distinguish them from typewriting. But they do not believe they are personally typed unless they see an allusion to themselves down in the body of the letter. Then they believe it is personal. Then they will read it. These were just a few of the tests we made. There were literally hundreds of them. A book could be written about them alone by the time it came out. It would be of little value. For the fascinating thing about this selling by mail, the thing that makes impossible for any man or set of men to know all about it, is that it is continually changing. What you learn today, you must unlearn tomorrow. You have to keep trying and testing, and then just when you reach the point where you can arise and state with authority, "You can do that you cannot," along comes some darned fool knows none of the rules and sells 1 million on the very plan you said could not be worked. And that is the end of Chapter 18. If you would like to grab your copy of the Robert Collier letter book, click the link in the description, and you will find it available in German, Spanish, and French, alongside many other fundamental marketing books. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more direct response content. See you in the next one.